Geoffrey here. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can respond when your partner wants a divorce or wants a separation and you've tried your very best to show your changes and change yourself from the inside out. But she still says that she doesn't really trust in your changes and she doesn't trust that they're genuine. And I really want you to stick around till the very end of this video because I think a lot of what other coaches are telling you about how to convince your partner that your changes are real and to trust you and to feel safe with you are actually quite toxic and will actually do more harm than good usually. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can look at this from a completely different angle than how you've been used to seeing this and take a completely different approach to regaining that trust and regaining that safety over time. And if you're new to this channel, my name is Geoffrey and I help men in long-term relationships or in marriages with the right skills and with the right mindsets to be able to design a thriving relationship for yourself. So if you want more videos that can help you with your marriage, that can help you with your long-term relationship, then I want you to subscribe to this channel and click the bell button as well to be notified when I post new videos every single week. Now, before we begin, I want to quickly let you know that the registration for the masterclass on the 5 proven steps to rebuilding your relationship from the ground up is still open. So if you want in on that masterclass, be sure to stick around till the very end of this video for the announcement on that. So let's start this discussion with what a lot of you are going to be tempted to do and what a lot of other coaches will tell you to do. So the problem that I see is that a lot of people are stuck in this world of logical appeals. So when your partner tells you that she doesn't really trust you, trust in your changes despite your best efforts to change, the first thing that happens in your mind is you panic a little bit and you feel hopeless and you tell yourself, if I've done all these efforts and all these things to change and she still doesn't see it, then what hope is there for me? And in this panic, in this worry, what you try to do is you're trying to come up with this magical set of words, this perfect set of words to try to convince her of how much you've changed, how different you are, and why and how she should trust you and feel safe with you and come back to the relationship again. But what you'll quickly find is that these words that you say, any words that you say, will not work. And your partner will still keep mistrusting you. And so when you find that whatever words you are saying do not work, you panic even more and you perpetuate this negative cycle where you panic more. You try to find this magical set of words to convince your partner. You realize she's not getting convinced. You panic even more and the cycle keeps going. And I'm sure many of you can relate to this feeling and this pattern overall. And if you're stuck in this cycle, it perpetuates another cycle. Whereas you feel more and more hopeless and you feel more and more frustrated in the fact that you cannot really find these magical words, that will usually make you more controlling. And your partner will sense this frustration, sense this pushiness, and pull away even further, which makes you panic even more. Then your partner pulls away. And so you're creating these two really bad cycles if you're trying to play this logical game. And to understand why this approach is really ineffective and actually will push your partner further away, you have to understand the nature of emotions a bit better. So understand that love is a very emotional thing. People make decisions, especially when it comes to romantic relationships, via their emotions. And this is true whether you're a guy or a gal. A lot of men think that, oh, we are logical creatures, but no, the truth is all of us, just humans in general, make decisions via their emotions. And marketers know this, business people know this, people who are good at persuasion really know this. The second thing to understand here is that emotions don't just come up, but they are a result of your interpretation. So to visualize this, how emotions form is that an event happens first, but the event doesn't cause the emotion. It's the event happens, then you make interpretations on that event, and the interpretations you make are the thing that will cause your emotions to form. And this is a crucial distinction to make because you can have logically positive events, but if your interpretation of that event is somehow negative, you will create and you will have negative emotions despite the positive event. So just to give you a fun example of this. So you can tell your partner, for example, you look good today. So that's a very positive thing that you're saying, positive logical thing. But if your partner interprets that as, does that mean I don't look good on other days? Then somehow she can twist that positive logical thing that you said into a negative emotion because of that negative interpretation. And here's why I give that example. As you're trying to rebuild a relationship, rebuild this trust, show your partner your changes and so on, you've probably made the same promise many, many times over the course of your relationship, but you've never really followed through on those promises. So you've probably made promises, statements, justifications, assurances to your partner that, hey, I know you're not happy, but I want to promise you that things can change. I'll be better. I am better. And so on and so on and so on. But every single time you make that promise, you somehow fail to follow through. So she trusted you in the beginning, but over time, she slowly begins to lose trust. And now it's gone to the point where her confirmation bias is telling her, okay, this guy is going to say whatever he wants to try to convince me that he has changed. But time and time again, he's shown me that he really hasn't changed, that nothing has really changed. So then here's what will happen now. So the event now is you tell your partner, oh, I've changed this time. I've really changed for real this time. And you try to find this magical set of words to convince her that you've changed. But if you understand how emotions form, her interpretation of your gesture to convince her that you've changed will be, okay, this is just another time that he makes a promise but will not follow through. I don't buy it. So then, even though your gesture is positive logically, interpretations are negative, and that causes even more hopelessness, even more mistrust on her part. And again, it's because of these interpretations that says, he's just being fake. He's just saying the right words to convince me, but really has no substance behind the words. This is just a false promise. It's ingenuine. He's just desperate. And basically, her interpretations here are going to tell her that, you know what? Don't listen to what he says. I don't think he really understands what he needs to change, what needs to be better. And I don't think this guy can really change. But the problem here is that if we keep our brains and our focus stuck on changing this event, or finding some magical set of words to logically convince her, we're going to drive ourselves insane, because if you understand this progression, you'll see that it doesn't matter what you say in this event part. You can come up with the perfect set of words. But as long as the confirmation bias is there, and as long as her interpretations are negative, she's going to twist and bend everything you say to create negative emotions. So as you try to find this magical set of words, which doesn't exist, you'll drive yourself insane, and you will perpetuate the two negative cycles that we talked about earlier in this video. And as you perpetuate the cycles there, you're going to either be in a position where you get so frustrated, so upset, and eventually this frustration will turn into hopelessness yourself as you say, you know what, this is an impossible situation. I don't know what to do. I'm giving up. I'm leaving. But what you don't understand is that it's actually possible to get around this problem in the first place. It's just that you need to stop looking at the logical side of things and learn how to directly appeal to our emotions in the correct way. And how do we do that? How do we actually appeal to the emotions? We need to understand the importance of process over product. And I've mentioned this distinction in many of my other videos before, but just to clarify for those of you who are not familiar. So most people, when they try to rebuild their relationship, what they try to do is convince their partner of their changes and how good they are now, how different they are now. They're trying to convince their partner that they are already the right product. So they tell their partner, for example, hey, honey, I can listen and I do listen. I can understand and I do understand. You can trust me. You can feel safe with me. So they're trying all these logical appeals to convince their partner of the product itself. But the paradox in which they're not realizing is that in trying to convince their partner of this products, the changes in their products, they're using the same process to do it. So they're still trying to use logical appeals to change her mind. They're still getting frustrated, trying to be controlling, getting confused, and feeling hopeless when he realizes that she doesn't buy it, the partner doesn't buy it. And they're trying even harder to change and to control what she feels, what she does, how she interprets things, and so on. So when your promises of the product and the process is misaligned like this, you create this paradox in her mind as well. And the paradox goes like, okay, you're saying all the right words. Logically, you're saying that you have changed, you can feel safe, and so on. But she's also thinking, he's not really acting differently. He's not really thinking differently. So while logically she understands that maybe you have changed, emotionally, she can never buy it. But again, emotions is what really counts in relationships. And so if emotionally she doesn't buy it, it doesn't really matter. She can never trust you and she can never really buy into your changes. And so once you understand this, I want you to understand just how normal your partner's mistrust about your changes is. This is just the nature of confirmation bias. And if you're getting panicked and worried that you're doing all these changes but she's not seeing it, then either it's because you don't understand the nature of confirmation bias, or you don't understand the how to actually battle the confirmation bias on an emotional level, or you don't understand just how long it takes to reverse this confirmation bias, because understand that you've been constructing this confirmation bias going against you for many, many years, sometimes even decades. You can't expect it to turn around in 3 months, even sometimes 6 months. So in this video, I'm going to show you a different approach in how you can look at this. So the first thing is I want you to stop looking for logical appeals, looking for that perfect set of words, because again, that perfect set of words doesn't exist. You're going to drive yourself insane, and you're actually going to push your partner further away. So here's one example of something you can say to your partner that really appeals to their emotions. The first part of this is, I want you to learn how to actually acknowledge. You might say, for example, I understand that you don't trust my changes. I get it. I know that I've made a ton of promises in the past, and I haven't really followed through on those promises. And so I understand how you feel. Honestly, if I were you, if I were in your position, I would struggle trusting myself and trusting my changes as well. I totally understand where you're coming from. So this is the acknowledgement part. The second part is I want you to present your new process, not your new product, but your new process. And something you can say here, for example, is, as part of my new self, I'm not going to sit here and tell you what to feel, what to do. I'm not going to sit here and tell you all the reasons why you should trust me, you should feel safe with me, you should come back. That's what my old self would do. My new self, I really understand that doing all that stuff is just controlling. And I don't want to tell you how you should feel or do. Because I realize that there's really nothing I can say or do to change your mind. I'm simply going to keep bettering myself for the sake of bettering myself. I'm enjoying the process of bettering myself. And I want you to decide for yourself if you want to see my changes. And I want you to decide for yourself what you want to feel about it and what you want to do about it. Then you can clarify your intentions even further here by saying something like, I trust that you'll understand I'm not bettering myself or doing anything here out of bad intent or trying to trick you into coming back. I'm simply doing this to find and discover the best version of myself, because I've realized I've done a lot of things that could be bad and controlling, perhaps in a subconscious way back then, and I want to do better. I just want you to know in the meantime that my door is open, that I'm ready to chat whenever you are, and I'm here for you. And you just walk away. So notice how different this response is to how many of you might respond. And what I want you to see about this response is that in this whole response, there is 0% of me trying to convince her of my changes, of my product. But it's 100% about simply showing the changes in my process. Not once here did I make an assurance, did I make a promise, did I make a statement about what she should feel, what she should do, any logical appeals, and so on. All I did was simply change the approach in which I handle the situation. And really, the simple change in my process, in the way I respond, in my mindset, in how I approach this topic, will tell her everything she needs to know. And this is actually a much more powerful thing to say than trying to find this perfect combination of words any day. Now, I don't want you to use this as a script. I don't want you to take this thing that I just said and just say it for the sake of saying it. Again, if you watch my other videos, there are such things as covert neediness, in that if you're saying this, if you're saying to her, oh, I'm not going to tell you what to say or do, in the hopes that you are going to change her mind in the manipulative way, then you're missing the point completely. I want you to be able to say this in a genuine way, and in your own ways. Add your own flavor to it. Make it genuine yourself. Don't sound like a robot, and don't make it sound scripted. But I wanted to give you that example just to show you how drastically different your responses and your mindset and your framework should be in responding to this situation, and what showcasing your processes and avoiding these logical appeals to convince her the product actually looks like and what it actually means. And if you use what I just said as a script and use it word for yourself, it's not going to work. It's really not going to work. It takes a deeper understanding and a more genuineness than that on your part. And many of you looking at that approach of me saying that to my partner, to your partner, you're going to be afraid to say it. One of the things you are going to be thinking about is, okay, if I just acknowledge and I just tell her to do and feel whatever, am I going to be enabling her behavior? So I want to give you a taste of how powerful this emotional appeal actually is. So let's do a thought experiment together. And I want you to think about something that your partner does that grinds your gears, something that annoys you a little bit. And once you think about what that is, I want you to imagine expressing it to her, to say, honey, I don't like it when you do XYZ. I would rather you do ABC. And I want you to imagine your partner simply giving you promises and telling you, I will do better next time. I promise I'll do better. I'm never going to disappoint you again. Trust me, the future will be better. That's a logical appeal. So I want you to imagine how you feel if she says that. if she responds in that way. Now I want you to imagine her simply asking you questions, acknowledging. So, okay, I understand, I acknowledge that you feel I do XYZ a lot, and that makes you feel upset. Tell me more about that. Tell me more about how upset that makes you feel. Give me some examples of that. Give me some ways in which I do it that I may not be conscious of. Basically, in that second approach, all she does is she asks you questions to dig deeper into understanding what is it exactly that you are saying. What's interesting if you think about the second approach is that not once did she make a promise, not once did she make a statement, not once did she make an assurance, but the simple act of her changing her process in asking questions and asking the right questions and taking on the right mindset of discovery. That alone builds trust and builds safety in you. Because in your head, the interpretation again you're making is, I think things can change because I think she finally understands it and I think she cares enough to even ask questions about it. So again, this is the power of emotional appeals in that you don't need to make any logical appeals, but it creates a greater deal of trust and safety than any logical appeals ever could. So understand that if this approach of what I just said seems uncomfortable to you, that is a good thing. You are going to be afraid naturally to say this, to execute on this, because that's a completely different approach than how you've been approaching things for however many years. But understand that this change, this discomfort is actually a good thing because what you know today can only get you to where you are today. If you want to go to somewhere different, you have to embrace different mindsets, different approaches, different behaviors if you want to get somewhere different. And many of you are still going to be afraid of what if she doesn't actually see my changes? That if I just let her go, she will actually go away and doesn't ever want to see my changes. If that's your fear, then most likely you really haven't changed enough in your mindset and in your processes to actually feel confident yourself that your changes are meaningful enough that she will notice. So don't look for more tricks. Don't look for more manipulation tactics to figure out the right words to say here. Actually learn the right processes and actually learn the right mindsets to be able to grow yourself so that your partner can notice. So this is really something to think about, is that any logical appeals that you can think of, the magical words, the suave words that you can imagine, they're really useless and they're really ineffective and they're quite cheap in your partner's eyes actually. And your attachment to it, your attachment to wanting to stick to these logical appeals, and your temptation to keep finding that perfect set of words is just an illusion given by society to tell you that this is the best way to go. But it's really not the best way to go if you understand it in this way. So if you really want to master the frameworks and the mindsets to be able to communicate on a deeper emotional level, not on a logical level anymore, but on a deeper emotional level, like what I just showed you here, then I want you to check out the masterclass that I have for you in the 5 proven steps to rebuilding your relationship from the ground up. And at the end of that masterclass, you will have a chance to apply for the Relationship Survival Program, in which hundreds of men are right now enrolled and getting a lot of results and getting a lot of understanding of how to actually do this properly. And once you really understand the mindsets and the frameworks to really communicate deeply on that deep emotional level, you'll find that communication will become a lot more effortless and building that safety and trust will become a lot easier for you as well. So if you want to join that masterclass, then be sure to click the link above my head or also down in the comments below or in the description box below this video as well. And if you're looking for a guide that can help you lead conversations better, conversations that never lead to arguments or conversations that actually open your partner up into expressing herself to you to create a deeper emotional bond, then you also want to click the link above my head or also down in the comments below or in the description below this video as well. And if you're looking for a community where you can post your questions and actually get support in the challenging circumstances that you're facing, then you also want to click the link down below this video. In the meantime, do leave a comment below. I would love to hear your thoughts and your questions about what was presented here in this video. And if you found this video helpful, if you found it eye-opening, then I want you to like it and subscribe to this channel for more content like this one. For now, I'll leave you with these 2 other videos for more videos on the mindsets and skills you need to build a thriving relationship for yourself. For now, I'll see you in the next video.